I walked away from my own wedding with 200 people watching. Not because I got cold feet, not because I suddenly stopped loving my fiancé, but because the wedding singer walked in, holding a little boy with my face. If that happened to you, right there at the altar, would you keep going? Or would you blow up your whole life like I did? My name is Evan, and this is the story of how I found out I had a son on the day I was supposed to get married. How one missing letter changed 4 years of my life, and how the truth forced me to choose between the life that looked perfect and the life that was actually mine. So listen all the way through, and when you're done, tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place, because I'm still not sure everybody's going to agree with me. That morning, everything looked like a picture out of some wedding magazine. St. Bridget's Church was glowing with sunlight pouring through tall, stained glass windows, painting the white satin aisle runner with little patches of color. The flowers were perfect. The music was timed down to the minute, and the program had my full name in fancy gold letters across the top. I had a good job, a growing tech consulting business that had finally gone from scraping by to comfortable, and I was about to marry Sloane Hart. Successful, polished, the kind of woman who looked like she belonged in every room I wanted to walk into. I remember checking my watch for the 3rd time, not because we were late, just because I needed something to do with my hands. 11:02 a.m., right on schedule. My best friend Gabe was in the front pew, giving me that little, "You're doing it, man," nod. My mom, Ruth, was in the very first row, wearing the nicest dress she owned, smiling like every sacrifice she'd ever made for me had led to this moment. I kept telling myself, this is good, this is right, this is what your life is supposed to look like at 30. Then the soloist stepped forward to the microphone. At first it was just another part of the plan, right? The music, the hymn, the same thing. We'd gone over in the rehearsal, but as soon as she stepped into the light, the air left my lungs. Warm brown skin, natural hair, pulled back in an elegant twist, simple navy dress that somehow made her look both professional and soft at the same time. My brain needed about half a second to catch up, and then it hit me like a punch to the chest. Maya, the woman I had loved 4 years earlier, the woman who had disappeared from my life with no real explanation. The woman I had tried very hard not to think about and never quite managed to forget. The past slammed into the present. Late nights at the pier sharing fries and talking about nothing and everything, the way she would sing along to old songs under her breath and then pretend she wasn't the way she'd push me to be a little braver, a little more honest, a little more myself. All of that came rushing back while I was standing there in a suit at the altar, about to marry someone else. And just when I thought my heart couldn't drop any further, I saw him. There was a little boy standing next to her, holding her free hand like it was the safest place on earth. Tiny suit, tiny tie, light brown skin, soft curls, eyes that were taking in everything like a little camera. He couldn't have been more than 4 years old. And when he looked up at her and grinned, I saw it. The dimple in his left cheek, the slightly crooked smile, the same exact combination I saw in the mirror every morning. My dimple, my smile, my eyes. Look, people like to say all kids look alike. This was not that. This was like someone took a photo of me at 4 years old and hit copy and paste. In that moment, my stomach turned to ice, my hands started shaking, and all the blood rushed in my ears. Sloane squeezed my arm, mistaking my shock for nerves. "You okay, baby?" she whispered, still smiling for the crowd. No, I was not okay. Maya started singing, and her voice filled the church. Rich, clear, exactly the way I remembered, but I couldn't hear a single word. All I could hear was this roaring panic in my head. When would she have been pregnant? How did I not know? Had she tried to tell me? Had I missed something? Ignored something? Been too wrapped up in work to see what was happening right in front of me. 4 years earlier, things between us had gotten serious. At least I thought they had. We spent those long summer evenings walking along the pier, eating greasy food out of paper bags, talking about dreams and fears, and the kind of life we wanted. Then, work had exploded. One major client needed everything from me, late nights, early mornings, weekends. When I finally surfaced from that chaos and tried to call her, she was gone. No answer. No text. No new address. I told myself she'd decided I wasn't worth the trouble that I'd taken too long, and she moved on. Standing there, watching that little boy grin with my exact dimple, I realized maybe I had been wrong about everything. The hymn ended, the last note echoing around the church, and Maya stepped back with the boy. Leo, though I didn't know his name yet, and she still hadn't looked at me once. Her shoulders were straight. Her chin was lifted like she was bracing herself for impact. The minister stepped up, opened his worn Bible, and started into the familiar words. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join Evan and Sloane in holy matrimony. His voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. My pulse was pounding so loud, I thought the people in the front row might actually hear it. I saw my mom leaning forward, eyes bright. Sloane's perfect profile turned toward me. Her bouquet held just so, everything exactly where it was supposed to be, except for the fact that 20 feet away, there was a little boy who looked exactly like me. And then the minister said it. Marriage is a sacred bond built on truth, trust, and unwavering commitment. Truth. That one word felt like a slap. How was I supposed to stand there and promise truth when I didn't even understand my own past? When I had a possible son, no one had told me about when the woman holding that little boy's hand looked like she was carrying a secret the size of the church. How was I supposed to look, Sloane in the eyes, and vow forever, while pretending I hadn't just seen my life from 4 years ago walk in the back door? So when the minister turned to me and said, "Evan, do you take Sloane to be your lawfully wedded wife?" my whole body locked up. 200 people went absolutely silent. It felt like the whole building leaned toward me. Sloane's eyes were shining. My mother's fingers were clenched together in her lap. Everyone waiting for that simple, expected, "I do. My voice cracked. I swallowed hard, tried again. Need a moment. You could hear the whisper pass through the room like a wind. Heads turned. Someone coughed. A chair squeaked against the floor. Sloane's smile stayed on her face, but I saw the panic flash in her eyes. "Evan," she hissed under her breath, still trying to make her lips look pretty for the photos. "What are you doing?" What was I doing? I was standing at a cliff edge. On one side was the life everybody thought I should have. On the other side was a kid with my face and a woman I had never really stopped loving. So I did the only thing that felt even remotely honest. "I'm sorry," I said louder this time, and my voice bounced off the rafters. "I'm so sorry, but I can't do this. Not right now. I need 5 minutes. Please." And then I stepped down from the altar and walked away. If it were you with a possible son staring at you from the second row, would you have lied and gone through with the vows anyway, planning to sort it out later? Or would you have stopped everything like I did and risked becoming the villain in everyone else's story? There was a little side chapel off to the left, the kind of simple room with a few wooden chairs and a cross on the wall where people went to pray or cry in private. I slipped in there, shut the door behind me, and leaned against it like it was the only thing holding me upright. My heart was hammering. My hands were shaking so badly I had to press them flat against the wood. A soft knock. The door opened. Maya stepped in still in that navy dress, still holding the little boy's hand. An older woman hovered just behind them. Later I'd learn her name was Aunt Delea, but right then, all I saw was Maya. Seeing her up close after 4 years felt like taking a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding all that time. Same stubborn tilt of her chin, same spark in her eyes. But there were new details, too. A weariness, a strength, a protective edge that hadn't been there before. The kind of look you get when life hits you hard, and you keep standing anyway. "Hey, Evan," she said. Simple. Calm. Like we'd run into each other at the grocery store, not at my wedding. We just stood there for a second, 4 years of silence pressed into that tiny room. The little boy's eyes went back and forth between us. Curious, like he knew something important was happening, but didn't have words for it yet. I opened my mouth, and what came out was not cool or suave or rehearsed. It was just raw. "Is he—" I couldn't even finish the sentence. I just nodded toward the kid. Her hand tightened around his. "His name is Leo," she said, voice steady. "And yes, he's yours." My legs gave up. I dropped into the nearest chair like someone had pulled the plug on my body. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. It came out a whisper. "Maya, why didn't you tell me I had a son?" "I tried," she said. And now the calm cracked just a little. "I wrote you a letter. I called. I got nothing. So I figured you'd made your choice." "I never got a letter," I said. "Never. And I called you for weeks after you disappeared. Nothing. No text, no email, no, 'leave me alone.' Just silence." The older woman stepped a little further into the room, putting a steady hand on Maya's shoulder. "Sweetheart, do you want me to take Leo for a minute?" she asked gently. Maya looked down at her son. "Leo, baby, can you stay right here with Mama?" she asked. He looked up at her, practical and serious for a 4-year-old. "Are you sad, Mama?" he asked. "No, baby," she said, even though her eyes said otherwise. "I'm just talking to an old friend, okay?" That word, friend, felt way too small for what we'd been, and way too big for what we were now. Before either of us could say anything else, the chapel door opened again, and the temperature in the room dropped by 10 degrees. Sloane swept in all lace and satin and tight smile, the picture of a bride who has just been publicly humiliated and is not going to pretend otherwise for long. "Evan," she said, voice sweet with a hard edge. "Underneath, everyone is waiting. Whatever this is, we can deal with it after the ceremony." "No," I said, and even I was surprised at how firm my voice sounded. "We can't." Her eyes flashed. "Excuse me," she snapped, still smiling at the older woman, like she was networking at a charity event. "I can't marry you today," I said. "I'm sorry. You deserve better than a guy who's standing at the altar wondering if he just saw his son for the first time." There it was. Sloane's eyes went colder. She turned that bright, polite smile on Maya. "I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding," she said. "You've clearly delivered your news. Maybe it's time for you to go." "I didn't come here to cause trouble," Maya replied. "I was hired to sing. That's all." "Of course," Sloane said in that tone. "That means I don't believe you at all. But there's really no reason for you to stay. Now, is there?" "Don't," I said. "Sloane, just don't." Leo tugged on Maya's hand. "Mama, my nose feels tickly," he said. "Can we go?" I saw the decision happen on her face. Whatever she wanted to say, whatever she wanted to fight about it all, took a back seat to the kid in the little suit. "You're right, baby," she said. "The flowers are strong in here. We're going to go." She looked at me once, and in that look was hurt, anger, fear, and something else I didn't know how to name yet. "I hope you figure out what you need to figure out," she said, and then she turned and walked out. Leo's small hand still in hers. Sloane rounded on me. They were gone. Are you out of your mind? She demanded. You are going to throw away everything we've built because your ex showed up with a convenient sob story and a kid who could belong to anyone. He has my dimple, I said. My eyes, my smile. Come on, Sloane, you saw it. Kids look like whoever people want them to look like, she snapped. You really gonna blow up your future over some maybe baby? In what world is this something we just ignore until after the honeymoon, I asked. I can't stand up there and say vows about truth and trust while pretending that little boy isn't out there. I won't do it. Her mouth pressed into a hard line. Fine, she said. You want to destroy everything over this, go ahead. But when you realize what you've given up, don't come crawling back. She spun on her heel and stormed out in a swirl of white fabric, leaving me alone in that chapel with the echo of my own choices. In less than 15 minutes, I had gone from groom to spectacle. The guy who walked out, the one everyone was going to whisper about for years. Yeah, that happened. The reception hall felt like a crime scene instead of a celebration. People were standing in little clusters, whispering behind their hands, refreshing their phones, pretending not to stare. The caterers were hustling, turning what was supposed to be a wedding feast into, well, the food's here. We might as well feed them lunch. My business partners stood near the bar, looking like they wanted to ask me if my personal meltdown was going to affect their quarterly numbers. My mom appeared at my side like she had teleported. Evan, she said quietly. We need to talk. Not here, Mom, I said. Please. Then, where she asked. Because I have a room full of people asking what's going on, and I don't have any answers to give them. She was right. Hiding in the corner wasn't going to help. I walked up to the little stage where the band was supposed to play later, took the mic, and tapped it gently. The low buzz of conversation faded. I just want to say thank you. I started. For being here today, for traveling, for bringing gifts, for all of it. I know this is not what any of us expected when we woke up this morning. Understatement of the year. Sometimes life hands you new information that changes everything I said. And when that happens, you've got two choices. You can pretend you didn't hear it, or you can act on the truth, even when it is really, really inconvenient and really, really painful. I saw my mom close her eyes. I saw Sloane's bridesmaids gathered around her in the corner. I saw my business partners staring at me, already calculating what this meant. Today, I learned something I said that means I can't in good conscience move forward with the ceremony. I take full responsibility for the timing and the mess. The details are personal, and I hope you can respect that. I put the mic down and walked off that stage without looking back. On my way out, I caught a glimpse of Maya near the kitchen. Leo pressed against her hip, both of them clearly trying to slip out without causing any more waves. Our eyes met for half a second. She gave me the smallest nod and disappeared through a service door. Gabe intercepted me in the hallway. Where are you going? He asked. To figure out what the hell just happened to my life, I said. Give me 2 hours, he said. I'll calm the crowd. Talk to vendors, handle refunds. You go chase down your answers after we make sure nobody sues you for emotional distress. I almost laughed. Almost. Those 2 hours felt like 2 days. But eventually, the hall emptied out. Sloane left without saying goodbye. My mom texted me that she loved me, that she was confused that we'd talk later. By mid-afternoon, I was sitting in my car in the church parking lot, with my phone in my hand, staring at the search bar like it was a detonator. I looked up Delia Green in the online directory. There she was, Maple Street, not far from the church. I typed out a text. This is Evan. Would it be possible to talk? I can meet wherever you're comfortable. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. Seaside Cafe on Main. 3:30. I can give you 20 minutes. 20 minutes to decide what kind of man I was going to be. If you're still with me, stick around because what happened next, especially what we found out about that missing letter, is the part that still makes people mad when I tell this story. The seaside cafe was the kind of place with chipped paint, wobbly patio tables, and coffee that smelled a little burnt, but tasted like home. Under different circumstances, I might have taken Sloane there for brunch the next day and posted a cute picture. Instead, I was sitting there alone, hands wrapped around a mug. I wasn't actually drinking from heart still racing. Maya showed up right on time like she always used to. Jeans, white shirt hair loose around her shoulders, no makeup that I could see. Somehow she looked younger and older. At the same time, like life had worn some things down and built other things up. "Thanks for meeting me," I said. "Thanks for not showing up at my front door," she replied. Leo's had enough drama for one weekend. We ordered coffee we didn't need and sat in that awkward quiet that happens when you used to know someone's favorite song, and now you don't even know their address. "I need you to know something," I said. "I never got your letter. I know how that sounds. But it's the truth." She watched my face carefully, like she was looking for the little micro-expressions that used to give me away. "I wrote it the week I found out I was pregnant," she said. "I told you everything. About the baby. About why I had pulled back when your work went crazy. I told you I wasn't asking for money or a ring, just that I thought you deserved to know." "When did you mail it?" I asked. "October 15th, she said, no hesitation. I remember, because that was supposed to be his due date. October. The same month I moved apartments, juggling 3 major clients, trying to turn my freelance hustle into a real business, living out of boxes and eating takeout on the floor. "I moved that month," I said slowly. "Mail forwarding was a joke. Stuff went missing. I swear to you, Maya, I never saw that letter. Not once. Or it got thrown away," she said quietly, looking out toward the water. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Nothing," she said, shaking her head. "It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is Leo." "What matters is both," I said. "But okay. Tell me about him. Tell me about my son." Her whole face changed when she talked about him. The walls went down. The light came in. "He's smart," she said. "Too smart. Sometimes. Asks a million questions a day and remembers every answer. He loves books, building blocks, kites. He's allergic to peanuts, so I'm always that mom reading every label. He starts kindergarten next year, and he's already trying to sound out words on cereal boxes." I pictured him standing there in his little suit holding a kite string instead of a microphone cord. I pictured her alone in a doctor's office, alone in a delivery room, alone at 3 a.m. with a crying baby that looked like me and no idea where I was. "Does he ask about his father?" I asked. "Sometimes," she said, and the walls slid back up a little. "I tell him his daddy lives far away, but loves him very much. I want to change that," I said. "I want to be more than a story." "You tell him to make him feel better." She took a breath. "Then we need to set some boundaries," she said. "Because if you come in and out of his life like a guest star, that will break his heart. And mine. So if this is just curiosity for you, if you're doing this because you feel guilty or bored, or you want to see if the kid really looks as much like you as I say he does, walk away now." "I don't want to walk away," I said. "I want to know him. I want to be his dad." "I'm late. I know that, but I'm here now." "What about your fiancé?" she asked. I saw the dress. I saw the flowers. I heard the invitations were embossed. "Ex-fiancé," I said. That ended the second I saw Leo. Honestly, it probably should have ended long before that. We were convenient. We looked good together. But that's not the same as being right. She stared at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "If Leo is your son," she said, "if this is really real for you, then we start slow. Tomorrow. The harbor park at 2. You meet him properly. No expensive gifts. No promises you're not ready to keep. Just show up. And keep showing up. I'll be there, I said. No gifts, just me. And Evan. She added, if you ever have to choose between impressing clients and showing up for him, choose him. Or don't bother starting. That stuck with me in a way I didn't even understand yet. The next day, I stood in that little park with a simple kite and a bag of peanut-free crackers, feeling more nervous than I had on my actual wedding day. There's no handbook for meeting your own child at 4 years old. There's no script. You just show up and hope you don't mess it up too badly. They walked up right on time. Leo saw the playground and started bouncing on his toes. Remember the man I told you about, Maya said, crouching beside him. The one who wanted to meet you. He looked up at me curious, not scared. The resemblance up close was even more intense. It wasn't just the dimple. It was the way his eyebrows pulled together when he was thinking, the way his mouth tilted when he considered something. Hi, he said. Are you Mama's friend? I am, I said. My name is Evan. What's yours? Leo, he announced. Leo Michael Green. I'm 4 3/4. That's very precise, I said. Do you like kites? His eyes went wide. Yeah, he said. Can we fly it now? Maya gave him a look. What do we say? She reminded. Thank you, he said, turning back to me. Thank you very much, Evan. We spent the next hour trying to get that kite to stay in the air. He was so serious about it, so focused. When it dipped, he ran faster. When it died, he laughed and picked it back up. When it finally caught a good gust and soared up high over the park, he yelled, "Look, Mama, it's flying!" And that laugh tore through something in me I didn't know was still closed. Maya sat on the bench watching us with this tight, careful attention. The kind that says she's ready to step in if anything goes wrong. But she's trying to give us space. As the afternoon went on, I saw her shoulders relax just a little. At one point, Leo looked at me and said, "Are you married?" "No," I said. "I was supposed to get married yesterday, but I didn't." "Why not?" he asked. I glanced at Maya. She gave me a tiny nod. "Because sometimes you think you want one thing," I said, "and then you realize you want something else more. Like when I think I want chocolate ice cream," he said. "But then I see strawberry and change my mind." "Exactly like that," I said. "Mama says it's okay to change your mind if you're being honest," he added. "Your mama is a very wise woman," I said. "I know," he replied matter-of-factly, and Maya snorted softly in spite of herself. We went for ice cream afterward, walked to a little spot on Main Street. Leo picked vanilla with rainbow sprinkles, studied the choices like his decision would go on a permanent record. I got the same thing he did, which apparently bought me some cool points. Do you have a job?" he asked between bites. Like this was a job interview. "I do," I said. "I help people fix their computer stuff." "That sounds hard," he said. "Sometimes it is," I answered. "But I like solving problems." "I like solving problems too," he said proudly. "Yesterday I pushed a chair to get the crackers on the high shelf," Leo Maya said with that mom tone. I know, he said. "We already talked about climbing." Then he hit me with the question that knocked the wind out of me. "Do you have kids?" he asked. I took a breath. "No," I said slowly. "I don't have kids, but I'd like to." He nodded like that made perfect sense. "Kids are a lot of work," he said. "That's what Mama says." "She's right," I said. "But they're worth it." As we walked back to Aunt Dee's blue house with the wraparound porch, Leo slipped his hand into mine, like it was the most natural thing in the world. That small, warm hand almost brought me to my knees. It was such a normal gesture, but for me it was the moment everything shifted from maybe to, oh, this is real. At the gate, Maya sent Leo inside to tell Aunt Dee about the kite, and we stood there facing each other again. "He likes you," she said. There was surprise in it, like she hadn't wanted to admit she'd expected it to go badly. "I like him too," I said. "A lot. This is happening fast," she said. Maybe too fast. What do you need from me? I asked. To feel like it's not all going to fall apart. She leaned against the fence thinking. Time, she said. Consistency. Showing up when you say you will. Following through. Not just for 3 weeks, but for 3 months, 3 years. I need to see you in the boring, hard parts, not just the fun park days. I can do that, I said. She asked quietly. Even when it means canceling a client meeting because he's sick. Even when he throws a tantrum in public and people stare. Even when you're tired and there's no thank you at the end of the day. I want to find out, I said. I want you to test me. She studied my face, then nodded once. Tomorrow, she said. After preschool. Same park. 4 o'clock. We'll see if you're still as sure then. I'll be there, I said. And I was. Monday, Wednesday. Friday turned into Evan and Leo afternoons. Park trips, harbor walks, Lego towers on the rug. Slowly, without any big dramatic moments, he started saving his art projects in a little pile. These are for when Evan comes. He stopped calling me Mama's friend and started just calling me Evan, like I had a permanent place in the cast now, not just a guest role. With Maya, it was different. Careful. Respectful. We'd share a laugh when Leo did something ridiculous. Hands would brush when we both reached for the same toy, and that old spark would flicker for a second. Then she'd pull back, and I'd let her. I knew I was on probation, and honestly, I deserved to be. The first real test came when Leo got sick at the playground. 1 minute he was tugging at my sleeve, asking if we could go down the slide. Just one more time, the next, he sat down hard on the grass and said, "Mama, my tummy hurts." Maya was by his side, immediately checking his forehead with the back of her hand. "You're hot, baby," she said. "We're going home." Should I drive? I offered, keys already in my hand. She hesitated just long enough for me to see the debate happening in her head, then nodded. "That would help," she said. "Thank you." He fell half asleep in the back seat, cheeks flushed. Breathing shallow. Maya sat twisted around, one hand on his forehead, the other texting the pediatrician. Aunt Dee met us at the door, got the thermometer started. Water moved with that practiced efficiency of someone who had done this a lot. 101.8, she called from the kitchen. "We'll watch him." Not panic yet. I stood there in the living room, suddenly unsure where I fit. This was the part of his life I had missed entirely. The late nights, the scary fevers, the nurse hotlines. I felt like an intruder. "I should go," I said quietly. "Let you guys handle it." Leo, who was lying on the couch with a damp cloth on his forehead, opened his eyes. "Stay, Evan," he mumbled. "Please." That was it. "You don't have to," Maya said softly. "This is not what you signed up for." "This is exactly what I signed up for," I said. "If you'll let me." So I stayed. I helped make broth in the kitchen, while Maya tried to coax sips of water into him. I kept track of when the next dose of medicine was due. I read him picture books in a low voice when he was too uncomfortable to sleep. At one point, he reached for my hand without even looking, and just held onto my fingers while he drifted off again. By the time his fever broke that evening, something in the house had shifted. It wasn't just Maya and Leo against the world anymore. There was an extra toothbrush in the bathroom, an extra pair of hands in the kitchen, another grown-up on the couch, later on the front porch while Leo finally slept for real. Maya and I stood in the cool night air, listening to the crickets. "Thank you," she said, "for staying, for helping, for not running at the first sign of bodily fluids. Thank you for letting me," I said, "and for trusting me with him. He's never asked for his father before," she said slowly. "When he's sick, when he's scared, it's always been me. Tonight he asked for you too. That doesn't change that you're still the center of his universe. I said quickly. I'm just glad I get to stand in the same sky now. She smiled a little at that. Then I remembered the thing that had been bothering me since the cafe. There's something I need to tell you, I said. About your letter. She tensed. What about it? She asked. Gabe and I tracked down my old building superintendent, I said. From the apartment you mailed it to. We asked if he remembered anything about my mail from that time, and she pressed. He remembers Sloan coming by during my move, I said, picking up my mail. And he remembers a letter from someone with the last name Green. Silence. The color drained from her face. So you never knew, she whispered. Not because you ignored it, because you never saw it. I never knew, I said. Not from you. Not from the letter. If I had read what you wrote, I would have been there. I need you to believe that. She sank down on the porch step, head in her hands. For 4 years, she said, voice shaking. I thought you chose your career and your image over me and Leo. I thought you read that letter. Thought about what it would cost you and decided we weren't worth it. And all this time, someone else made that decision for both of us. I finished. So here's your twist. It wasn't just bad timing or lost mail. My fiancé at the time, the one standing at the other end of that aisle, had intercepted the letter that told me I was going to be a father and kept it from me. To protect our relationship, to hold on to the life she thought she deserved, to erase Maya and Leo from my story before they even had a chance to be written in. Do you think that's fair? Honestly, if you found out your partner hid a letter like that from you, would you ever be able to forgive them? I would have come, I said again. I would have shown up at your door. I would have gone to appointments, tried to figure out how to be a dad. All of it. I know that now, she said. And that's what scares me a little. What do you mean, I asked. If you had come back then? She said, wiping at her eyes. I would have always wondered if you were only there out of guilt, out of obligation. Because you felt trapped. I would have second-guessed every smile, every gift, every I love you. Now, I can see that's not what this is. What is it, I asked. You choosing us, she said simply. Not because it looks good, not because anyone expects it, but because you want it. I do, I said. Not just the cute park days, the sick nights, the meltdowns, the scary stuff. I want all of it. I want him, and I want you. If you'll have me. I'm still scared, she admitted, of letting him get attached and then having you leave, of letting myself get attached again and losing everything twice. I can't promise I'll never screw up, I said. But I can promise I'm not going anywhere on purpose. Test me, for as long as it takes. So she did. There were grocery store tantrums when the store stopped carrying his favorite cereal, and we had to carry a screaming 4-year-old out past a whole row of silent, judgy strangers. There was a stomach bug that turned the living room into a disaster zone and forced me to cancel a big networking dinner. There was a night Leo had a nightmare, called for me and Maya both, and I drove across town at midnight just to sit on his bedroom floor until he drifted back off. Each time I showed up, sometimes clumsy, sometimes tired, sometimes with my tie half off and my shirt on inside out. But I showed up, and slowly Maya's texts shifted from, "Can you make it to what time works better for you to pick him up?" One Friday afternoon, I was on the living room floor with Leo building a fort out of couch cushions when my phone buzzed. Caller ID. My biggest client, the one whose contract paid for half my team's salaries. Evan. "We have a problem," he said as soon as I picked up. "I need you in the office today. Now. The system is freaking out and the board is on my back. I'm with my family right now," I said almost without thinking. "I can hop online and fix it remotely, or we can schedule something first thing tomorrow morning." "This is $1 million account," he snapped. "Whatever you're doing can wait." I looked at Leo, who was standing there holding a pillow that clearly needed my approval for roof duty. I looked at the half-built fort, at the little fingerprints in Play-Doh on the coffee table, at the family photo on the sideboard that I was finally a part of. No, I said calm, it can't. I walked him through a temporary fix, scheduled a proper session for the next day, and hung up. Does this go here? Leo asked, wiggling the cushion. Yeah, I said, smiling. That's the perfect spot. Later that night in the kitchen, Maya handed me a dish towel and nodded toward my phone on the counter. That sounded like a big deal, she said. It was, I answered. Just not bigger than this. 4 years ago, she said, you would have chosen the client. 4 years ago, I thought success meant never disappointing anybody who signed a check, I said. I didn't understand. There are some people you just don't trade away no matter how big the account is. She dried the plate, slowly studying my face. Thanksgiving is next week, she said. Aunt Dee usually cooks. It's just us. Very low-key. If you wanted to come, I think Leo would like that. I'd love to, I said. More than any fancy reservation. Thanksgiving at their house was nothing like the stiff holiday dinners I grew up with. It was messy, loud, warm. Leo said grace in his serious little voice, thanking God for Mama Aunt Dee Evan and cranberry sauce that doesn't have lumps. We ate too much. We played board games badly. At some point, Leo fell asleep with his head on my leg, and I realized I didn't miss the crystal glasses or the perfect table settings one bit. Later on the back porch, Maya sat beside me on the old swing, a blanket around our shoulders. I have something for you, she said, pulling a folded paper from her pocket. It was a carbon copy of the original letter she had written 4 years ago. I unfolded it and read every word. Her fear, her hope, her anger, the way she had tried to give me an out while still telling me the truth, the way she had signed it, love always. By the time I reached the end, my throat was tight. If I had gotten this, I said I would have been at your door the same day. I know that now, she said. And that's why I'm not scared anymore. She shifted closer, close enough that I could see the gold flecks in her eyes. I love you, Evan, she said. I never really stopped. I just got good at pretending I did. I love you too, I said. You and Leo. You're my family. You're the home I didn't know I was missing. When we kissed, it didn't feel like starting something new. It felt like stepping back onto the road we were supposed to have been on the whole time. Through the kitchen window, we could hear Leo giggling as Aunt Dee helped him make a construction paper turkey. The sound mixed with the rustle of the trees and the distant ocean, and it just felt right. 6 months later, I was in that same backyard on one knee in the grass, holding a simple ring that had taken way too long to pick out. Leo was beside me wearing a shirt with a cartoon dinosaur in a bow tie, holding a handmade sign that said, "Will you marry us, Mama?" in big crooked letters. Maya stepped outside and froze. I know we lost 4 years. We can't get back, I said. But I also know these last months have been the most real my life has ever felt. I want to spend the rest of my days choosing you, choosing him, choosing us. So, will you marry us? She said yes. Through tears, through laughter, she said yes. Leo yelled. She said yes. And through flower petals so enthusiastically they got in everybody's hair. The wedding we had later wasn't in a big, fancy church. It was in Aunt Dee's backyard. Folding chairs, homemade food, a cake that leaned a little to one side because Leo insisted on helping with the frosting. Aunt Dee got ordained online and married us herself. Gabe stood up as my best man and ugly cried through half the ceremony. My mom brought her famous sweet potatoes and hugged Maya like she had always been part of the family. Maya wore a simple white dress she'd found on sale. I wore my best blue suit. Leo walked the rings down the aisle like they were the crown jewels. We played music off a Bluetooth speaker and danced in the grass until the sun went down and the neighbors turned on their porch lights. Later, when most of his guests had gone, Leo fell asleep in my arms, his head tucked under my chin. his little hand gripping my tie. Maya and I swayed together in the soft dark, just us, and the crickets, and the smell of cake. "Any regrets?" she whispered. "Just one," I said. She pulled back like she was bracing for something bad. "I regret that it took us this long to find our way back," I said. "That we lost 4 years, we can't get back." She relaxed, smiling. "Some things are worth waiting for," she said. "Some things are worth fighting for," I replied. Between us, Leo shifted and mumbled, not as asleep as he looked. "And some things," he said, eyes still closed, "are worth having 2 parents for." Tell me that kid isn't wise beyond his years. So that's it. I was the guy who walked out of his own wedding. The guy whose fiancée hid a letter about his son. The guy who almost chose the life that looked good on paper over the messy, honest, hard, beautiful life that was actually meant for him. Now, I'm the guy who says I'm with my family when clients call it dinner. The guy who knows the names of all the kids at the playground. The guy who still checks the mail himself just in case. So let me ask you, if you were standing where I was on that altar, and you saw your ex walk in holding a child who looks exactly like you, what would you have done? Would you have finished the ceremony and dealt with it later to keep the peace? Or would you have stopped everything, like I did, and taken the hit in front of everyone? Do you think what Sloane did is unforgivable? Or do you see any version of her side trying to protect the future she thought she earned? Should someone go to jail for hiding a letter like that? Or is it just messy relationship stuff? And what about Maya? If you were her, could you ever trust me again? After 4 years of silence, even if it wasn't really my fault, I genuinely want to hear what you think. If my story made you feel anything, anger, sympathy, confusion, hope, tell me in the comments. If you've ever had to choose between what looks right and what feels true, share that too. Somebody else scrolling might need to know they're not the only one. And if you want more stories like this, more messy real life, instead of picture-perfect fairy tales, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Most of all, answer me this in the comments so we can argue about it together. If it were you, what would you have done?